like I said earlier on, when I was going into these auditions and they loved me, but they were never going to cast me. And, you know, some people may give up. Some people may think, oh, you know, it's just never going to happen for me. I'm too brown. I'm too fat. I'm too short, you know, whatever. The ideas that would come into my head for that. But then you start thinking, no, okay, so maybe I am too brown, too fat, too short, whatever for that role. But if I go to the room next door where they're casting, you know, the best friend, or where they're casting, you know, the nurse, or you start realizing there's a role for me, what I look like today. So I don't have to lose weight. I don't have to, I mean, not that you don't have to be healthy, but you know,
Sure.
I don't have to I don't have to wait for me to lose 10 pounds in order for me to get headshots. I don't have to wait, you know, for whatever, me to get my teeth fixed, or, you know, whatever things are holding you back from moving forward to get your headshots, to get your demo reels, to get all these things done for yourself. There's always that, like, oh, well, you know, I just need to, you know, lose 10 more pounds and then I'll go and get my headshots. Just do it, because there's a role out there for what you look like today, who you are today. And you have to just figure out what problem you solve. And if you go into the right rooms, you'll start getting more opportunities, more yeses, and less disappointing roles like the way I was getting. I was just going into the wrong rooms was the problem early on in my career. When I
Yeah.
started realizing, okay, so I don't solve that problem, I solve this problem, that's when things really started clicking. And another thing, which is sort of more of a personal thing for me, is that I really started to go into my personally, not from my acting, but just personally started going into my ancestry and like figuring out. That was just something that I've always been curious about, is my ancestry, because you know, as Latinos, we're all raised, you know, we're Mexican, or we're, you know, whatever South American country that you're from, or that your grandparents were from, or whatever, and you start believing that that's your sole identity. But South America and Central America and Mexico, all that is integrated with Spanish culture. And a lot of times you have that, you know, the indigenous people there integrated with the Spanish and
Yeah.
created, yes, something new, but that's still a part of you. The indigeneity is still a part of us, a lot of us. And I started to realize, even though I, you know, grew up in a Mexican side of town in San Antonio, and most of the kids at my school were Mexican. I was always made fun of because of my slanted eyes, because of my straight black hair, because you know, I was a little bit darker, this or that, you know, and I started to feel like I didn't belong, even within my own Latino group of people, that I was always around. And so then I just really needed to delve deeper into my ancestry, and I started to, you know, do ancestry.com and figure out what my identity was, like, as for myself, just for myself. And then when I started to go deeper into my identity, deeper into my ancestry, that opened up more for my career, because then I started to really realize who I was. Without
Uh-huh.
knowing who I was, I didn't know what problem I solved, you know, so it all
Sure.
went back to, you know, what problems you solve, what rooms do you need to go into. You have to know who you are, what boxes you check.
Yeah.
And one of the big ways Bonnie Gillespie teaches us to do that is, we take a picture of ourselves, just a plain picture of us looking at the camera, and one
Uh-huh.
looking to the side. And we can test our friends or whatever, just send those pictures out and be like, you know, what do these pictures convey? You know, what do you think? Do you think this person's a bitch? You know, do you think this person is nice? Do you think they're bubbly? Do you think they're seedy? Do they look caring? Do they look mischievous? You know, so you check all these sort of boxes of of adjectives for yourself, and you start realizing, oh, okay, so I'm sort of fitting into this vibe of, like, for me, I was getting mother, I was getting nurse, I was getting, caretaker, I was getting someone who worked for, like CPS or something like that, so
Yeah.
someone so I was getting these kinds of feedback from people for my headshots. So then I started realizing, okay, so then I can start going for these kinds of roles, and that sort of just took off. And then you start realizing this is where I belong, and then this is where I'm going to get the yeses.